Welcome to the road to growth, success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, Road to Growth listeners. Today I have Mike Schill here. He is a business coach, a marketing expert, has his own marketing firm. I mean, I always love asking, what's your elevator pitch, Michael? If someone asks you, what do you do? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, great question, man. And first things first, a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. As far as that elevator pitch, getting people known, increasing both brand awareness, and in turn, mind and market share. That's what we specialize in over here. Digital currency as far as social media, website and lead conversion, and so on and so forth. So
fantastic, man. And I mean, it goes into my next question, because I've had more and more coaches over the last probably 6 months or so. And so there's so many different coaches, mentors. I mean, the description out there. What separates you from other coaches?
Great question. Actually doing it, actually living it, and actually having training on doing it. I mean, my background is, just got done working alongside Grant Cardone for about 5 years. Obviously, for those who don't know, experts in scaling and overseeing businesses, increasing bottom line profitability. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of clients, ranging from Ashley Furniture and Google, all the way on down to mom and pop shops that just opened up yesterday, in regards to training up those specific individuals as it relates to scaling their organization. So the biggest difference between me and everybody else is that's what I've literally been doing over the past 5 years, and have gotten trained by literally the top guy in that specific space in the entire world on that for the past 5 years too.
Well, it's probably, I mean, with regards to Grant, I mean, it's probably the shortest phrase I can say, or shortest couple of letters I can say, and people would probably know who I'm talking about when you talk about 10X. I mean, that's the first person that pops in my head is Grant Cardone. I mean, so it's impressive what he's done right there with that, with the marketing. Well, but before we get, into that kind of part of it, let's talk about a young Michael. Who was a young Michael kind of growing up?
Yeah, man. Well, a young version of myself, man. We actually did a lot of moving as a kid, and I think that's kind of helped me right now as far as getting acclimated in new scenarios and new situations. But a young Mike, it was very, very important in our family, instilled in our family. Education was number one. We had some ability as related to sports and so on and so forth. So we use both of those things, both skill and education and sports. To get us to the collegiate level, and had the ability to play football at Florida State University, major in biology and exercise science. And that was an absolutely incredible part of my life. I gained a lot of knowledge and understanding in regards to who I was as an individual, and what it actually took to work within those 4.5 years. So, I mean, that the young version to coming up of Mike Schill right there, in a nutshell.
When you're talking about that plural we, is that simply by yourself, or was it also your family talking about being in sports, being athletic?
Yeah, so it was a family deal. Now let me say this much. It's always been education. Education is literally number one. It's something that can't be taken away from you. What you know is what you know. It doesn't matter what room you go into. You still have the knowledge in your head, right? So knowledge is number one. In our family, that was the pinnacle of, if you will, perfection. Our father, worked in open heart surgery, perfusionist, runs a heart and lung machine. Obviously, he went through some intensive school, and I think that played a role in the importance of education. It was education all day, every single day. Now the sports was secondary, but our entire family was very good at sports. Brothers and sisters, ranked in the United States, throughout the world, believe it or not, in taekwondo and fighting, all the way to track and field, to baseball, to football. I mean, that became natural, and thankful for that. But number one, always education. Number one for us.
Well, And you say your father is a doctor, correct, or was a doctor?
A perfusionist. So runs a heart and lung machine during open heart surgery, blood
Okay.
transfusion, and so on and so forth. So yes, sir.
Did it feel like it was daunting, kind of following in those footsteps, or like kind of doing what he did? No, was it?
No, no. I mean, that really wasn't something that was forced. The only thing that I gained from that was my passion for understanding the body, which led to the biology and exercise science major. But you got to realize, when I say my father, that was within our adopted family. So we were adopted into that family. That's another reason why I push so hard, because I was given some of the opportunities that, individuals may not have given if they were born where I was born. And so with that being said, there was nothing that was pushed as it relates to what you got to do or where you got to go. They were just gracious enough to have us, and I am extremely thankful for them, 100%.
Can I ask, how old were you when you were adopted?
Yeah, we were about 4.5 years old, man.
Okay. Do you ever like look back on kind of what could have been, I guess, where you were located if you weren't adopted, or?
All the time, man. I mean, that it's not even necessarily looking back; it's reflecting on what could have been. And there's a ton of unknown. There's a ton
Yeah.
of unknown there, and I think that's big. That's the scariest thing, if you will, is that unknown deal. You go from an environment where there's a ton of unknown. A lot of I would say there's not a lot of direction, and then you get put into an environment where it's the complete opposite. So yeah, man, I think about that stuff all the time.
And you talk about direction. I mean, what kind of direction was put in place? Was it? I mean, because I've talked to, not necessarily on the podcast, but in general, when people have children, right? Of trying to figure out, okay, I want to put them in sports, but they don't look athletic, or they're not really athletic, but I want to keep pushing them until they actually find a love for it. I mean, when you talk about direction, what kind of direction was that?
The direction, that's a great question, man. So the direction was, listen, we're gonna man you and put you in an environment where you have the ability to succeed, right? Now, what way you want to succeed, whether it's to be a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, that you wanted to learn the violin, or whatever it was, hey, that's on you. But make sure that when you do that thing, that you go 110% all in on that thing. So that was, I would say, the direction. It was more of an environment that allowed for us to move. And we did, and we're still moving. So
Allow you the opportunity to kind of see whatever you want to go forward with. Now,
100%.
you talked about that you were you played football at Florida State. I mean, a very team environment, and I mean, when you start your own business, sometimes it can be about yourself, right? So it's kind of relying on other people, and then when you're in the starting your business, it's more of an individual base. Are you more of kind of like the team environment person, or more of, I need to just push myself?
Man, I would say there's a little bit of both of myself. I love the team. I love the team environment, man. To be able to lean on somebody as it relates to their level of performance, to go ahead and get the W. Listen, those are things that I love. But I do realize, the football thing is more of a team type deal. But we also did track and field. That track and field was more of me. Hey, you're running a 100-meter dash, and there's no one else running that race for you. You don't got to rely on a quarterback to pass a ball, or the D line to block, whatever it is, right? It's all on you. So from a team aspect, I think that contributes to later on in life where I was placed in the teams, and how to motivate, and how to inspire, and how to work together to reach a common cause, a common goal, just like winning a ball game in front of millions of people. But from a business standpoint, I think what I do right now, as it relates to my business, is rely and reflect on the track and field, where, hey, you're in the blocks, ready, set, go. The gun is there. It's shot. How fast are you going to get to the finish line? That's it.
I mean, you brought it up about the team environment motivating other people, and did you see any kind of difference of motivating a teammate compared to motivating someone maybe in the business sense? Is there a different way? Because I mean, it would think, right, for at least for football, right? It's kind of like, hey, we're going to push ourselves together. I'm going to maybe talk a little crap. I'm going to do whatever I have to kind of get us both going the same direction. Yeah, being that we are in the world that we are these days, right? Sometimes you can't
I know.
motivate another person. So what has that changed for you?
So I'll say this much, man. One of my mentors, recently in my life said motivation, said something about motivation. I think this right here is everything, and it justifies the next statement that I say, where it's literally the same thing. No matter if you're motivating somebody in a team or motivating somebody in the business world, your job is not to motivate. Motivation is a feeling, right? It comes and it goes. Your job is to inspire someone to become motivated. So what you got to do is you got to connect to someone's own personal wants, needs, what they're seeking, and then tie that action or tie a requested action, if you will, back to what that end goal is. What are we really chasing? If it's business, great, it's business. If it's to win a national championship, man, great, it's to win a national championship. But as long as you can reflect on the why, the reason why somebody is doing something, I believe personally it's one of the same. It's just getting somebody to move their forward, and let's get the W, or let's get some results, or let's get some success, let's get some movement, let's get some push. So that's what I would have to say as it relates to motivation. You don't get motivated, man. You get inspired to become motivated.
Now, and it seems like, at least, and you could be totally different, right? That when people are playing a sport, right, everyone thinks maybe they're a little better than they are, right? And there becomes a point when you start figuring out, maybe I'm not going to take it to the next level, be it from high school to college, be it from college maybe to the NFL or wherever it might be. Was there a moment when you realized that you maybe won't take it to that next level, either by choice or by just a skill set?
It wasn't skill set, definitely wasn't choice, but definitely due to injury. Okay. I did ACL, MCL, patellofemoral ligament tear. I remember that day vividly. It was actually on spring break. It was back home playing basketball with my brother at the local YMCA. Man, you can't even make this stuff up. And dunked on somebody, so that was awesome, and I still got it now. So if anybody wants to play, I'll still dunk. No, I'm kidding. But landed on the top of somebody's ankle, or not ankle, but the top part of the foot, and my ankle went like this, and then my knee gave. So at that moment, it was like, okay, right. So getting airlifted and flown back up, getting immediate surgery, the 9.5 or 8.5 months of immediate rehabilitation, to then go out there and play that very next season was a wild experience. But right then and there, I was like, okay, this may be the thing that slows you down just a tad bit. This may be the thing that takes that differentiator out. That guy that runs that 4.21 as opposed to the guy that runs the 4.28. That's a massive difference, man. So that's what I would say is when things got real for me, and it was like, okay, well, what else you got? What else are you leaning on? And fortunately, I didn't go to college just to play, man. I went to college to get an education because that was what was rooted in our family, man. I'm very thankful for that.
Was it that quick of saying what else, or was there ever a moment of what was me, kind of like, why did this happen to me? Why? Or was it strictly from, okay, I can't come to this realization and go to the next point?
Nah, you want to know something that's really funny? When that happened, I remember landing. I remember a very, very, very sharp pain, like pain pain I've never really experienced before. And at that moment, my mind went from everything is okay to, okay, how fast can you get back? It literally was just a game, man. Like it affected me, of course, emotionally, in the sense of, man, not you're kind of starting from square one, like, you know, and you got to rebuild everything. And, you know, you go from, you know, jumping out the building and running incredibly fast to not even be able to walk out the basketball.
Yeah.
Like this, you know, it all gets taken away from you. But there wasn't a point where it was, oh, everything is done. It was more along the lines of, okay, use that as fuel to come back harder. And I did, you know, and I had an opportunity, man, after college to go to Denver, Colorado. I was training at a professional track and field facility up there, man. Like, it wasn't that it was over, but what it did is it made it real that there are other things. You can't rely on one thing. You just can't rely on one thing. You got to rely on multiple things. But no, man, it was a great experience. Great experience.
So talking about the other things, right? I mean, when you have blinders on, right? Sometimes you're not open to those other things. Now, when you basically, I guess, took the blinders off and now you're open to those other things, I mean, there's an abundance of opportunities out there, right? I mean, you can put on social media, you could pick up your phone, someone's trying to sell something, right? So when you open up your blinders to basically all the opportunities out there, what did that feel like? Was it overwhelming? Was it like, I mean, excitement? I mean, what did that feeling look like for you?
Everything was excitement. Everything was everything was and still is potential. I mean, you can't see it right now, but I'm down here in Miami, Florida. I'm in Brickell. The only thing that's around us are buildings. When I look at these buildings, I look at opportunity. How the hell can I buy the whole damn block? That's the same situation as it relates to when you're opening up your eyes and you take off the blinders. And you allow yourself to focus on everything that's around you. What could be done? You actually pick your head up. You know, you pick your head up. You get your head on the swivel. I'm not talking about the field. I'm talking about a different type of field. It's called life. So it's exciting, man. It's exciting, and it's, hey, someone else did it. Someone else has that, so it's attainable. So go ahead and do it. It's your time, man. Shine. You know, grab what you want. Everything you have in life is based off the decisions you make. Everything. That's me. That's you. That's everybody. So, man, make some more decisions and go get it. That's it.
And when you talk about decisions, I mean, when did that decision come about of following the tutelage of Grant Cardone and some of the other mentors you've kind of talked about?
Yeah, well, that decision actually occurred when I realized they were just up the road from me. You know, that's a funny story as well. You know, we were utilizing at the previous job prior to GC, we're utilizing some of this content as relates to closing deals. However, I didn't know that stemmed from Grant Cardone. Long story short, you know, went to #1 in that company, orthopedic and pharmaceutical sales company. But, you know, okay, you hit I don't even want to say a cap. I didn't hit my potential, but I was #1 there in a very, very, very short time. So you start to become bored. You start to become, you know, I guess antsy, if you will. It's like, okay, what's next? Well, one of my buddies had transitioned over to Grant Cardone from that organization, and he told me to go into the office. And honestly, I didn't even take it seriously. It took me like 6 months to really take that opportunity seriously because I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know what they represented. I didn't know any of the products and those services, right? You know, walked into that office and, you know, 5.5 years later, here we are. Wild experience. The stuff you learn there, I learned more stuff on how to be able to communicate and sell in 1 month than people usually do their entire life. Like, guaranteed. It was just it was insanity, and it is something that has shaped who I am today, and it will play a vital role in shaping who I will become in the future, man. It was an incredible experience.
Now you're under that umbrella. Is it any kind of salary? Is it strictly commission based, or what's the structure there? Or was it there?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, there's a very, very low base salary, but everything is commission. So it's incentivizing an individual to go ahead and get the money. That's what it is, and that's what it would be. And to be quite frank, if it wasn't that, I probably wouldn't have been there as long as I was. Right? I didn't go there for the money though. I went there for the education. I went there for the education.
Yeah, no, the only reason I asked that is some people go into jobs for that protection, for that safety, right? And usually that's the difference of them transitioning to start their own thing, is because they have that safety there and they don't want to, they have to go and leave that safety to start their own thing, right? So it sounds like you didn't really have a safety. It was like you got what you got and what you put into it. So what was that transition of going, I want to start my own thing?
Yeah, well, you look at all the greats. Anybody who's an exceptional at their skill set, you know, as it relates to sports, as it relates to business, as it relates to entertainment, and they built something themselves. I write down every single morning to be worth 12 billion. I don't see myself being worth 12 billion working for somebody else. I don't see that unless I was able to acquire, you know, Apple or something like that. And I don't think that's going to be the case. So for me, it's like, okay, well, how do I put myself in the best situation, in the best scenario that's in alignment with my goals to go ahead and get it done, you know? And that's what had to be done. It was a very tough decision, but it had to be done, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It's required. It's vital. It's mandatory. It's what it is.
What's attached to that 12 billion? What's the meaning behind that number of 12 billion?
You know what, man? Well, the meaning behind there is no necessarily meaning behind the number of 12 billion. I like 12 billion. I've always said that to myself from like 10 years old. I want 12. I want 12. I want 12. I want to be a billy killer. But the point of the billion is not necessarily for the money. Listen, it's not all about money, but let's be realistic. It is about money, right? Money isn't everything, but it buys everything. So if you want to buy a lot of things, maybe you better have a ton of money. It just is what it is. But it's more along the lines of to actually make an impact on the world, a memorable impact on the world. And, you know, affecting one life is great. And anybody who affects one life is awesome, man. Affecting one life could change something forever. But I'm not here to only affect one life, man. Like, I want to affect continents. You know, I need the scroll right here where it says Mike Schill. I need that scrolling on CNN, Fox News, CNBC, Bloomberg when I pass. Like we're here for a reason, man. We've been given an opportunity, so you can either just, you know, do what everybody else does or rise up. So I need to rise up and have a world-renowned impact, and so that's why I say 12 billion. Right? That's why I say 12 billion.
When you talk about where you want to be and what you see, it sounds like you have a very clear picture there, really clear picture. And how clear is that picture? Also have a timeline attached to it, or is it, I know in the future I'm going to be wherever it might be?
Well, I feel that with anything, there has to be a timeline attached to it. There has to be some sort of stamp date. Without that, there is no urgency. It's like it goes back to like the gym. Oh yeah, I want to be in shape. Okay, by when? Oh, I want to be in shape in the next 6 months. Okay, well now you can reverse engineer, work back, and actually figure out what steps you need to take today to get one step closer to that tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's the same thing in business. The same thing with my own personal goals. So I have a set date, or I have a set timeline. I write down 12 bill by 60 years old. But I have other dates that I write down. Obviously, I'm a whole lot younger than 60 right now. I have other dates or smaller timelines of, okay, I want to knock this out by this. I want to have 10,000 units by this point. I want to have an IPO worth about $500 million by this point. Like these things are I'm checking off. And you just get one step closer, one step closer, one step closer. So yeah, you got to have a date though, man. You got to have a target or anything you do. Otherwise, it ain't gonna get done.
How often do you look at those dates?
2 and or 3 times a day. I write them down every single day. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then going back to your business, I mean your coaching business. Now, what was the process of building it out for yourself, of getting the name out there and actually building your client base?
Yeah, so I think that the process stemmed from, I'm getting a little content for us, man. Gotta get some content here. I think that the process, it wasn't, it's not something that just started as far as the process is concerned. I think that for any single individual, no matter where you are in life, you have to foster relationships. I am leaning on relationships right now that stemmed 15 years ago, 10 years ago. You know, I'm currently doing work with some of these professional athletes that, you know, I was in the weight room with freshman year. Like at that time, I didn't know what I was doing, man. I was just trying to lift 200 or 315 pounds 8 times. Like that. That's really what I didn't know what I was doing. But what I did know is don't lose these connections. Reach out to people, build a relationship. And so there's no one thing that I did. I think it's that I consistently have been doing, which has allowed for me to transition quickly, capture clients, get the word and the message out there, and reach into my power base, man. This thing right here, man, you got to use this phone. Man, you got to use this phone. So that's what I currently am doing, and that's what I did with you know, recently with this transition.
With the marketing business, how much, or I mean, so if people listening don't know, I think it was last year, right? College athletes are allowed to actually do endorsements now. I think it was last year.
That is correct. It was last year. Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, it was last year. Okay. How much of that is incorporated into your marketing business? Is that part of it at all, or?
No, that is within the agency we have. It's called Full Circle, right? It's three-pronged as it relates to an individual's personal brand. You know, you have your social media presence. We go ahead and create the copy and the content and so on and so forth as it relates to your actual business profession. Why do we do this? Well, listen, man. How many times have you hit somebody's Instagram and you have no idea what it is that they do? It's ridiculous. You need to change that. If you really want to make money, people got to know what you do, right? The second tier is lead conversion and retention. The third tier end of prong is the actual marketing and advertising, the driving the traffic to websites, the click funnels, the landing pages, and so on and so forth. The fourth tier is specific towards the athlete and entertainment space. And that's where my passion is, being an ex-athlete and having worked with Dash Radio for about 3.5 years. We got up to about 10 million listeners every single Sunday on our station. Had the ability to have some incredible relationships there. So that's where the heart and the passion is. And I love marketing, man. I mean, I just love it. I love it. I love being in front of people. You got to be in front of people. Gotta be in front of people.
With that fourth tier that you're talking about, I mean, being that it's such a new thing right now, right? It almost seems like kind of the Wild West a little bit off the outside looking in. I mean, how are you a pioneer, I guess, in that space, and how are you taking control of that space?
Providing data and providing information. Okay. Listen. It is the Wild West. You know, and I feel that, you know, it's now is a better time than ever to get into that specific space, because it's literally formulating as you and I are on the phone, like right now. And so with that being said, the only way that I can get better at it is by teaching myself the do's and the don'ts, right? What you can do, what you can't do, as relates to both professional and collegiate ties. And then the second thing that I can do, right, is build a following within that specific niche of athletes and entertainment. So what I'm doing is I'm providing value and information as it relates to finances, or as it relates to, man, you are your own business, operate accordingly. How the hell can you monetize? How do you set yourself up for the future when this thing that it is you do, this thing that it is that's your identity, goes away like overnight? And then what? Now you're 28 years old. What are you going to do? Right. So providing that information is how I'm gaining the traction and the following, if you will.
I mean, that has to be somewhat of a hard sales, I guess, to some people, right? That don't think there is life after what they do because they think it's going to be there forever. I mean, what's that conversation look like for you of when you pick up the phone and have those conversations, those deep conversations?
what's beautiful is that I have buy-in because I did it.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't have to, I don't have to sell an idea, or I don't have to sell a concept. I can just talk
Mm.
about what I did. Oh, and by the way, I look like you, probably run equally as fast as you, had the same injuries as you. This is what it is. It's life. So I'm living it. It's not necessarily a hard sell in that respect, but you got to realize that everybody you see on TV, we think they're grown men and women, but they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. They
Yeah.
just look ginormous because they are, but they're
Yeah.
babies, you know? So it's common sense. Okay. You're probably going to live past 30, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's prepare past 30. It's simple,
What do you think has been the biggest hurdle of kind of building your business, building your brand, building your company?
Great question. Biggest hurdle, biggest hurdle that I would say is not thinking big enough
Mm.
myself.
Okay.
That's it. That's everything. That's everything. I am putting a strong focus on thinking bigger every single day. Think bigger every single day. What collaborations can you make? What type of marketing initiatives can be adopted? How can you help? How can you support? How can you provide value? And I think as the think gets bigger, the traction grows as well. So the hardest thing is to just continue to think bigger. The second thing I'll say to that is this. Listen, I was an employee for the past 5 years. Now 455 clients, running sales, business development with some of the biggest companies in the entire nation and planet, training up their sales teams, their mid-level management, their CEOs, their C-suite executives. But when it's all said and done, you're an employee, you're a business within the business, but you have a business to support on, or to fall back on. Right now, I'm not an employee, I am a businessman. So thinking like a businessman as opposed to an employee, it's a whole different ballgame. I'm not saying it's hard, I'm not saying it's difficult, but you need to be aware. And if you're not aware, well, then you're just going to go back to being an employee and working for someone else's dream, not yourselves.
Talking about vision, talking about in the future, where do you see yourself, your business in 5 years from now?
Yeah, good question. I see my business having some of the biggest partnerships in the entire planet as it relates to record labels, as it relates to representation of both athletes and entertainers from a financial standpoint, not necessarily an agent, if you will, but from a financial standpoint. I see myself in New York, right? Downtown, 110%, maybe Manhattan or something like that. And I don't see this. I don't see this thing ever ending. I just see continual build. I love what Rock Nation is doing, and I use them as fuel to the fire for myself. And what Jay-Z is doing as a businessman, it's awesome stuff, man. I love that. I love what he's doing, man. So as long as they're rocking, I'm fucking rocking. Leave that. Leave that.
I'll finish off with this question. I appreciate you being here, Michael. And I know you've already kind of talked about it a little bit. I mean, if you
Mhm.
could talk to maybe those high school athlete or something like that, someone that's planning to go to college
Yeah.
and only seeing that, hey, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna go to the next level, so on and so forth. Is there any advice that you'd give to them?
Hmm. Yes. As it relates to their specific sport, go all in, man. Like go hard. There's always someone bigger. There's always someone faster. There's always somebody who understands the sport more. Right? If you want to attack the sport and you want it to be you, then attack it like a business, like for real. And take advantage of the opportunity. Know it's not going to be there all the time. The second thing I would say to that is the number one degree of separation within all of us is knowledge. That's it. There's something I know that you don't. There's something you know that I don't, and there's something Warren Buffett knows about money, which is the reason why Warren is Warren, right? So build this, man. Build this. And then the third thing I would say is train on how to effectively communicate. Train on how to effectively communicate, man, because communication is key. It is the best communicators in the world. Well, I'll say this much: we know their names, right? The worst communicators in the world, we don't know their names, man. Communication is, oh my God, that's everything. That's everything.
You might be saying something, but are people picking up what you're saying? So
yeah. Are you able to say it effectively? Do they understand? Oh my God. That's everything. Oh yeah. And make sure you train on sales, brother, because sales is everything. And your ability to close is directly proportional to what's in your bank account. And that's everything.
Well, even if you're an athlete today, I mean, everything's sales. You're selling yourself on social media every day. So sales is everything.
Everything.
If someone's listening right now and they're looking to hear more about what you have to offer, your journey, getting in contact with you, Michael, what's the best way?
Yeah, so the best way would be to reach out, man, via social media. Obviously, a pretty strong presence there. You can reach out to both Instagram and or Twitter at Mike Mike Schill, S as in Sam, C as in cat, H as in hat, ILL as in Larry _ shoot me a message there. You can check me out on LinkedIn at Michael Schill, or you can hit the site themikeschill.com and or full circle FULL circle.io. But man, reach on out. Would love to answer any questions, concerns you may have for all those athletes who are out there, man. Man, we got some really incredible things lined up as we get on deeper into the first quarter of this year as it relates to getting knowledge to athletes. So if that's something that interests you, if that's something that inspires you, if that's something that you need, whether or not you use it now or in the future, right? Man, reaching out specifically because we've got something very special for you. So.
Well, I appreciate you, Mike, for being here. Everyone, please take a look in the show notes. Please subscribe. Please share. You go in the show notes. Go follow Mike on all his social media accounts. Thank you guys for listening, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.